Hey, what's up? This is COVID episode 3. Living with COVID episode 3. The hypocrisy of COVID to reveal how you feel about others. So, in the last couple episodes, we talked about a little bit of the systemic issues. This one's going to be a little bit more personal. Well, the first one was personal, the second one was systemic, so I guess this one's personal. I guess we'll just flip-flop back and forth. Anyway, what I realize is a lot of the way that we view our cornerstones for let's say caring about others in some way, shape, or form is very heavily predicated on the way we think people should give us in return. Sorry for that taking a second. I'm trying to collect my words here. It's been a long day. And maybe it's just an American-centric thing, but I always felt like what ends up happening is a lot of American media pushes the idea that we should be united in a common catastrophe, and that we're always rooting for the one scientist that's got the idea that's going to save the universe. We're always waiting for the hero to come. And I feel like always having a hero there who protects the city really dilutes the idea of smaller homegrown heroes. Like, that threw me so far off guard. Oh my God. Do you want followers? See, the system never stops. What we end up doing as a society is we treat each other with the same regard as the system we live under. If we have a communal system, we treat each other like a community, and we take those experiences and that knowledge, and when we go into other communities, we pass that along. There is such a culture shock between states, cities, towns, that it is almost surprising to not understand why people in New York City seem more guarded to have emotions. The compoundingness of all of our already heavily socially stacked hierarchies creates a sense of pride within some people. And that pride drives them to feel like the answers that they're looking for out of other people have to be in some form of what they recognize, as opposed to something uncomfortable. In other words, I went through it, no one else has. It's shocking when you start finding out that more people have gone through the same things that you've gone through. But you always find those small little individual unique cracks that make your situation unique, and you build a type of identity based on how you would respond having been put in that situation. I.e., some people get bullied and then they become bullies. Some people are the bullies and they remain bullies. People like the power trips, so they end up going down pathways of life. You get me? Like, this is the groundwork. We're laid, we're good. All right. COVID happened. In episode 1, I told you that your relationship with the outside world changed because some things that you used to find comfort within were not being enjoyed by anybody. So, what do you do? You find common ground with people who are sharing what you're sharing. That's why you went on Discord, Zoom. I remember the Zoom era. Let's have a game night on Zoom. Those died real fucking quick. And that's a part of this episode, but don't worry about it. We'll get there. But remember that your personality went along with the idea of you trying to find commonality. How did you handle the pandemic? Did you possibly catch the virus? Did you have somebody close to you die from complications related to the virus? Or were you just at home chilling, not worried about anything because you had enough money to not ever need to go out? Nah, the work from home crowd lived much differently than the people who were used to going out 5 days a week trying to make that bread so they could make rent. Real different now. And our questions become something of an epitaph, right? We want to be close to people, but being close to people is a reminder of why I'm not usually close to people, and that becomes a paradox in which I just end up staying home anyway. So you ball up and recognize that everybody is now talking about the popular topic because they can't sit there and talk to their friends about it because they have to share their opinions with absolutely everybody, even if they're wrong in some form or fashion. It's crazy out here. It's crazy out here. Better protect your neck. Drop the cap. So what we end up trying to picture is a picturesque sense of, if everybody's talking about this thing, then I guess I'll care about this thing because everybody's talking about it, i.e. Twitch drama. Ah, see how that relates? Ha ha ha. And then you're stuck in a cycle. Do you even feel as emotionally charged about the things you're emotionally charged about? Or is that all the people you can connect to are talking about and caring about? Therefore, it has to be important for you. It has to be important to you so that you can have a connection with these people you're still longingly, desperately trying to. Feel me? But I guess, we could do that. But what does this have to do with the subject? Oh, did I not mention? Now that you're stuck trying to make these connections, what's happening is there's becoming a disconnect between how much you can care for people who put themselves in certain situations, because there's barely any situation without nuance. There's barely any situation that contains nuance when it comes to, are you going to really risk catching the coronavirus to come see me on the train? Are you really going to try to catch coronavirus to have a late night party? Are you really going to... I'm going to stop caring about people who put themselves in certain situations for no reason at all. Why are you an anti-masker? I wouldn't want to put myself in a position with somebody who doesn't think masks help, because even if they don't help and it's a placebo effect, you're still choosing to not do it. Like, you're still choosing that you'd rather risk it with no protection at all, nothing, than something. I'm asking, can you just do something? That's all I want from you, is to do something. And you say that's infringing upon your right. You stop caring about people who feel like they don't have empathy based on their decisions. But you, just like when we talked about relationships, don't have the ability to discern the difference in the split between why you're feeling that way about the current topic and how long they've always been acting that way. And you just never had to notice because you never had to put yourself out to them like that. You never had to know these intricate details because you spent most of your time building those relationships out of places. You were creating realities for yourself that didn't need to exist. But not everybody feels that strongly about other people. So what could possibly this extrapolate upon? Or extrapolate to? I don't know, the population. I'm stuck in my house. Maybe I hate my kids. Maybe I'm a police officer and 40% and all that. And maybe I'm somebody who just lost my grandmother and lost my job and is about to get evicted because there's no protections in place. And I don't hear shit from the government about that happening anytime soon. You want to support me, but you're also struggling, and I have to acknowledge that. How do you process that without actually saying it out loud? Oh, it's an understood thing? If it was an understood thing, then we would be focusing on trying to make that portion of our lives better instead of having to have waited 2 years just for tests to come through. Oh, my little brother got COVID, now the whole house got it. Thank God nobody died. Nah, see, this is where it gets personal. No, I had people call me, yo, this person passed away. I can't process that because I'm currently on fucking stream right now. 153. You don't see me keep no fucking counter up here. I don't disrespect motherfuckers like that. But there are people who would. And that would be a point of contention for them. You tell them that to their face and they'll say, show me the names. How do you possibly know that? Yes, because a motherfucker is just going out there and lying about that. And if they are, that only reinforces the idea that you can't have empathy towards somebody giving you a real life account, because not even you can trust whether or not it's real or not. You stopped caring about people the same way as if you normally had just heard, yo, 3 of my students got killed in a car accident. You'd believe that because you know I teach. I could be lying, but you trust me because there's not an overarching reason for me to make that up. But since we're in these times, you feel like I would make that up to, oh, you don't have empathy anymore. You distrust it because it has to lead to a point. Nah, I just want to make you feel something, bro. I'm sorry, but I feel it too much. Maybe if you felt a little of what I was feeling, we wouldn't be having these issues. You get me? You get me? And as we live through this time, we're going to start unraveling more of those layers of how people used to understand one another and how much of their lives they were ignoring because they only had to deal with them. And like coworkers. Okay, let's put it in the form of coworkers. Let's say where I worked, because I don't want to say this for like office jobs or whatever, even though the metaverse exists and that could be a whole part of the argument. Oh, okay, so I just want to make sure, because I know I'm uploading this at some point to YouTube. I remember I talked about the Zoom calls and shit. Just remember, after this part that's coming, I'm reminding you, look how we're getting there. Anyway, coworkers. Since we had spent most of our time outside with these people because we were at work, generally the time that we spent with our friends was already limited, because, you know, I couldn't go out the morning of unless I was going to get, you know, coffee or breakfast with somebody. Like, I'm not doing something for the day with a person. I'm not hanging out with somebody. I'm not traveling somewhere. I got to be to work at a certain time. When the meetings would end when the meetings would end after our programming, some of us would stay online a little, like talk our little shit, do this and that, blah, blah, blah. But then it became time for like, hey, I saw you were playing a game with the kids. We could all play that. We could have a night. We could watch a TV show together. We could infringe upon our respects to keep ourselves separate. Our lives were intertwined. What just happened? What just happened? What just happened?